I'm gonna tell you right now, this is from her father. You're a bunch of lying no good punks, and I know who it's coming from, because I've traced it, and you've been reported to cyber police, because I've traced it. Consequences will never be the same, because I've traced it, and you've been reported to cyber police, because I've traced it. You'll be arrested. End of conversation. Well, guess what? My daughter's not lying, and I'm not gonna put up with any of you people's crap. If you ain't got something nice to say about my daughter, then keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. And any more of your comments and put it on there will be caught and will be bound. You will have to deal with the police, cause you done goofed. Cause you done goofed. Because I've traced it, and you've been reported to the cyber police, because I've traced it. Consequences will never be the same, because I've traced it, and you've been reported to the cyber police, because I've traced it. You'll be arrested. End of conversation.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Your boy Wolf on here. And I'm just stepping out for a smoke. Best believe it's cold out here. Waiting for the mailman to come. I'm not expecting anything. I was trying to check the mail for my mom. At least it's not super cold out here. It's a little bit chilly, but it's not really that cold. No one is saying anything in the chat. Ugh.
change is not typical, but it's very clear.
Police say that this car crash, which killed an elderly woman, was murder and arson. The driver, the victim's daughter, insisted it was an accident. Two fire investigators came to two entirely different conclusions. Was it an accident or murder? You decide. Oviedo, Georgia is literally a one-stop light town, surrounded by peanut farms and cotton fields. On August 18, 1996, a hot, quiet Sunday, a man driving down a remote country road saw a woman standing on a small bridge, waving frantically. The woman was Sheila Bryan.
And he said, what's the matter? What's the matter? I said, my mother's in the car. That car was on fire.
The car was down in a ditch, and Sheila's 82-year-old mother was trapped inside. From the bridge, you could see the smoke coming out of the car. The man ran to a nearby house to get help. By the time firefighters arrived, the car was in inferno. When the fire was put out, they found Frida Weeks dead inside the car. She had been unable to get out.
I just remember getting nauseated, dry up, and the next thing I remember is just lots of people.
Sheila told police that she and her mother were on their way to the local cemetery to visit her father's grave. She said she was momentarily distracted and accidentally drove off the road into the ditch just before reaching the bridge.
Which was very steep. And when I got to the bottom, there was a big jump. I was trying to get the car turned off, and it didn't turn off. Somehow power got it off. And the keys, they jumped out of my hand. It was a jerk, and it jumped out of my hand. I kept telling her, I said, I'll be right back, I'll be right back.
Sheila ran around the car to the passenger side door to try to get her mother out, but the door was locked. Sheila said she ran up the embankment and flagged up a taxi vehicle. She said when she looked down, she saw smoke coming out of the car for the first time. When the police arrived, they noticed some irregularities.
That car traveled about 60 feet down the grassy shoulder of the road prior to making a right-hand turn and traveling about 30 feet down this bank where it came to its final resting point perpendicular to the road, the ditch. And then we started looking at no skid marks, there were no signs in the grassy shoulder that there was an abrupt turn of any type.
And the front of the vehicle showed no signs of damage consistent with running down an embankment.
There were no scrape marks under the bumper, under the undercarriage, the plastic cowling under the bumper had no damage to it whatsoever. All signs that were indicative that this car traveled down that embankment very slowly.
Also suspicious. The door to the gas tank was open, and the gas cap was missing. No autopsy was performed on Frida Weeks, but the toxicology results were puzzling. Most people who died from smoke inhalation had carbon monoxide levels in their blood of 45 to 85%. But the carbon monoxide level in Frida's blood was zero.
That result showed that there was no carbon monoxide in the blood, which could be indicative that she was not alive at the time of the fire.
If Frida Weeks was dead before the fire started, how did she die? The local sheriff's department brought in outside experts to help investigate the car accident and fire which killed Frida Weeks. The engine and exhaust system showed little fire damage, but the passenger compartment was destroyed. It appeared that the fire started on the floor of the driver's side because investigators found burn patterns consistent with the use of an accelerant.
Also burn patterns that protruded through or over the driver's door threshold, which could be indicative of the result of something during the time of the fire.
The debris inside the car was tested for accelerants. The tests came back negative.
That's not uncommon in arson cases, especially where fire departments have responded with a tremendous amount of water on the actual fire scene.
The only personal items found in the car were a wallet and the charred remains of a claw hammer. The possibility that the hammer might have been the murder weapon led investigators to exhume Frida Weeks' body for an autopsy.
That's when I really did get a suspicion also. You could have knocked me over with a feather. I mean, I just could not even believe where they could even come up.
And the investigation angered Sheila's husband, too.
Mr. Brian Moore said, you guys need to do whatever you need to do. The insurance company's not going to pay until you get that investigation.
Sheila's husband was referring to the liability coverage of his car insurance, which he believed would pay them $100,000 for Frida's death. The autopsy found no injuries consistent with the use of a claw hammer. The surprising news was that Frida's lungs and nasal passages did not have any soot, which usually happens when someone is alive and breathes smoke during a fire. The medical examiner found evidence of severe coronary artery disease and listed the probable cause of Frida's death as cardiac standstill.
Dr. Clark said she was probably alive at the time of the fire. And they had taken 1 or 2 gas after that fire was started and then died.
The medical examiner did not rule the death a homicide. Nevertheless, prosecutors believe that the fire was deliberately set and charged Sheila Bryan with arson and murder. Sheila pled not guilty.
Has been dark for quite some time, and I live in the light.
Why is no one talking to me? I'm right here.
Caplyta is not approved for dementia-related psychosis. Call your doctor about new or sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts right away. Antidepressants may increase these risks. Report fever, confusion, stiff muscles, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High cholesterol and weight gain may occur. Also, high blood sugar may be fatal. Common side effects are sleepiness, dizziness, nausea, dry mouth, feeling tired, and diarrhea. These aren't all the side effects.
Ask your doctor about Caplyta.
Caplyta.
For those with depression not getting enough relief from their antidepressants, adding Caplyta can help you let in the light, providing greater relief from depression symptoms than an antidepressant alone. And unlike some medications, Caplyta is also proven to deliver significant symptom relief from both bipolar 1 and 2 depression.
Caplyta.
Patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Caplyta is not approved for dementia-related psychosis. Call your doctor about new or sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts right away. Antidepressants may increase these risks. Report fever, confusion, stiff muscles, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High cholesterol and weight gain may occur, as can high blood sugar, which may be fatal. Common side effects are sleepiness, dizziness, nausea, dry mouth, feeling tired, and diarrhea. These aren't all the side effects.
Ask your doctor about Caplan.
Oh, Capleta. I forgot to ask my doctor about Capleta. I gotta ask my nurse practitioner next time I talk to her.
I said, that's ridiculous. I said, this is something that you're required to have by law to be able to drive a vehicle. And there was no way for me to even collect any money from that.
Prosecutors knew that the car insurance wouldn't have paid anything after Frida's death, but believed that Sheila and her husband were unaware of that at the time of the incident. To prove it, prosecutors pointed to the statement Sheila's husband allegedly made to investigators.
It was the state's position that they intended to collect on that insurance money. And the reason the state thought that is first because what Thomas Bryant told them that that was their intention. And secondly, because they had hired an attorney to collect the money.
At the trial, Sheila took the stand in her own defense. Her testimony, however, differed in some respects from the statement she gave to police immediately after the accident.
When she got on the stand, she told the story about stopping on the edge of the embankment and hearing. I was sitting there and I said, I was gonna try and get out. I opened the car door and I still had my seatbelt on. When I did, the car door come back and hit my arm. And then the car broke down the ditch bank, which was not anything that she had said at the time of the accident.
Sheila first told investigators that her mother showed no signs of distress after the accident. On the witness stand, she said her mother wasn't responsive.
I told Mama, I says, I'll be back in just a minute. She didn't respond. Well, I thought she had passed out. When she got on the witness stand, that story had changed remarkably. And I think it didn't ring true to those jurors. But it was testimony about the burn patterns that I think sealed her fate.
The prosecution's arson expert said those burn patterns were consistent with a fire started with an accelerant. The jury found Sheila Bryant guilty of arson and murder. She was sentenced to life in prison.
I could not believe that this had actually happened. This is why am I here? I don't understand. I even looked around for a rusty screw to cut my wrist. I said, I cannot let my children be exposed, something like that, for the rest of their life. And then all of a sudden, something come over me. And I said, God, if I'm here to help somebody, then you show me what you want me to do. And I had peace about me after that.
Sheila's friends and supporters believed in her innocence and raised funds to hire an independent fire investigator to look into the case. And the person they found also happened to be an outspoken critic of arson investigations, Dr. Gerald Hurst. You had a woman who had a close relationship with her mother, and plenty of people knew about this relationship. They said that the reason that she had torched her mother was because her mother was getting old, wearing a diaper, she was just too much trouble. See, this doesn't fit.
It was so clear to me that this case had divided that community in this area. Half believing she was guilty and half believing that she was innocent.
After Sheila Bryant was
Lady Mistress. Medusa will be back, I'm sure. Laugh out loud. Yeah, in due time.
police work in connection
He'll be back. He always comes back. They always come back.
Prosecution. Sheila's car was a Ford. Hurst and his colleague, Chris Bloom, quickly discovered that there had been a number of suspicious fires in similar Ford vehicles. The problem was the ignition switch, a box of electrical contacts on the steering column. By turning the key, different contacts in the switch start the car and turns on the electrical system.
A small little component. You don't normally would even think about it, but that little component has been the source of at least alleged 8,000 fires.
Many of these cars caught fire while sitting in garages and parking lots, and some while being driven down the road. In 1996, Ford issued one of the largest car recalls in history. A lead in the ignition switch had electricity flowing through it constantly. A plastic box separated the leads, but in some cases, carbon buildup caused the circuit to arc.
It's creating a circuit where a circuit was not designed. And as a result, the overheating that's occurring. And that overheating will result in the ignition of the surrounding combustibles, the plastics and such.
Dr. Hurst and Chris Bloom made another interesting discovery. The task force at the Ford Motor Company that confirmed the ignition switch problem was headed by Ralph Newell. Mr. Newell was also a fire expert and was the star witness for the prosecution in Sheila's trial. I'm not saying that he did anything wrong, but I'm saying he was under heavy influence. He was getting, I think, about $150,000 a year, or at least that year, and certain amounts in other years, working for Ford Motor Company.
The key thing I noted was that not a single person mentioned the ignition switch in the case. And it didn't matter whether they said, I examined the ignition switch and eliminated it as promised. I looked at the ignition switch, there was nothing wrong. There was no mention of it.
This was particularly interesting since Sheila's first statement to police mentioned her inability to remove her car keys after the accident.
Miss Bryan, after running off the road, tried to get the keys out of the ignition and couldn't get the keys out. That indicates that we have something wrong with the ignition lock or the ignition switch.
Sheila's car was a 1987 Ford Cougar, but the recall only went back to 1988. Bloom and Dr. Hurst suspected that Sheila's car had the same ignition switch.
This is a recall switch from an 88 Ford Escort. The important thing to note is the model number on the switch. When I pulled the large wiring loop out of the 87 Cougar and examined this switch, you can see the model numbers are the same.
For those with depression not getting enough relief from their antidepressant, adding Caplyta can help you live
Caplyta.
providing greater relief from depression symptoms than an antidepressant alone. And unlike some medications, Caplyta is also proven to deliver significant symptom relief from both bipolar 1 and 2 depression.
Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Caplyta is not approved for dementia-related psychosis. Tell your doctor about new or sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts right away. Antidepressants may increase these risks. Report fever, confusion, stiff muscles, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High cholesterol and weight gain may occur, as can high blood sugar, which may be fatal. Common side effects are sleepiness, dizziness, nausea, dry mouth, feeling tired, and diarrhea. These are all the side effects.
Ask your doctor about Caplyta. Things to see on this job. They're not going to stop. If you're looking for a rewarding career in home care, if you want to make a difference, there's one choice: Help at Home. But don't take my word for it. Forbes voted Help at Home Best In-State Employer 3 years in a row. And Newsweek voted them America's greatest workplaces for job starters, women, and parents and families. You can work for any home care agency. Why not work with the one making real change? Join the Help at Home family and call today.
But what caused the burn patterns in the interior, which prosecution experts said was from an accelerant? This steering column, cover, and cockpit are from the same model and year car as Sheila Ryan's. Gerald Hurst believes the switch inside the steering column overheated, and the plastic cover ignited, melted, and dripped like this one, burning down through the cockpit like a liquid itself.
Now, if this were in a real automobile, you would also begin dripping the same molten flaming plastic on the seat, which contains polyurethane foam, and that would take off like the proverbial house of fire. Anytime a fire consumes the interior of a car, you're going to have masses of flammable plastics that melt and float. They themselves, plastics, become, in effect, liquid accelerants.
Hurst also said a gap in the door seal allowed melted plastic from the seats, doors, and dashboard to flow under the door in not one, but 2 spots.
It was not a liquid accelerant that produced it. I'm quite confident it was the plastic, but that was less important to me than the fact that the prosecutor and all the king's horses and all the king's men would not be able to produce that pattern with gasoline.
The information should have been presented to the jury. Hey, this is a known problem, that it's a rare problem, but it's a known problem that catches fire.
After 10 months in prison, the Georgia Supreme Court unanimously voted to overturn Sheila's conviction. The court stated the testimony that inferred there was an insurance motive was improper, and any
She was improper.
was tenuous at best.
Tenuous.
I immediately got on my knees and prayed and thanked God for that, because that just does not happen. It does not happen in the length of time for me to even get an appeal. Usually people stay in there years and years before they even get an appeal. So I was very well blessed with that.
Just as Sheila was released from prison, she had another surprise. Prosecutors for the state of Georgia said they would try her again for murder and arson. Due to extensive publicity, the second trial would be held in neighboring Thomas County.
It was quite naturally a battle of the experts.
But which experts would the jury believe? Converse Wright was the new defense attorney representing Sheila Ryan at her second murder trial.
There's no trauma involved, and the blood test and the autopsy showed that this lady was dead before the fire started, most likely by heart attack. If the jury accepted that, then that ended the case right there.
But the cause of the fire was again the prosecution's focus, claiming Sheila Ryan had set the car fire by pouring and lighting some type of liquid accelerant.
It either came out of the tank, or she brought it there. No container. There's no instrument, like a siphon or whatever.
This time, Sheila's defense relied on Dr. Hurst's opinion for what caused the deadly fire.
An expert witness in case performs several functions. Obviously, he testifies and gives expert opinion. He also can help prepare cross-examination by pointing out fallacies and foibles in both sides' position.
Ralph Newell, the prosecution's star witness in the first trial, admitted he had worked for the Ford Motor Company on the task force investigating Ford's past ignition switch problem. But Newell insisted He eliminated the switch in Sheila's car as the cause of the fire. Newell admitted, however, that he did not photograph or document his analysis of the switch in his report. Without the insurance motive, the prosecution argued that Sheila had grown tired of caring for her 82-year-old mother.
They were all one very close-knit family. The testimony was unanimous about that. There was no dissent for that.
After a 4-day trial, the jury deliberated for just under 3 hours before finding Sheila Bryan not guilty.
I just, thank you.
Well, you could cite this case as an example of the system failing, and that she did 10 months in jail for something she didn't do. Or you could cite it as an example of the system succeeding because it corrected itself.
2 different trials, 2 different verdicts. The town of Omega will never be the same.
There were heated debates about her guilt or her innocence up until the first trial. And they continued, of course, after she was convicted and went to prison. And they continue to this day.
But Sheila Bryan is a free woman and gives the credit to forensic science.
What made the difference? Having a very credible expert that believed in what he was doing and what he was saying.
This was a case of forensic evidence, whether it be medical or be this, what this case was all about, forensic
Caplita.
Okay, Bartlett. Are you with me? Hey, Hand, are you doing this? All right, Vision. Looking good today? MS can be a constant roll call. That's why adults with relapsing or primary progressive forms of MS choose Ocrevus Zunovo. It's proven effective in reducing relapses in RMS and slowing disability progression in RMS and PPMS. Given 2 times a year in a 10-minute injection. Don't receive it if you've been active hepatitis B or have had a life-threatening allergic reaction to its ingredients. Tell your doctor about your medical history like Hep B, vaccinations, colitis, and liver problems. It can cause serious side effects. Some may be life-threatening or lead to hospitalization, disability, or death, such as injection reactions and infections, including respiratory, skin herpes, and PML. PML, a rare brain infection, can occur.
Did you say skin herpes?
Cause serious liver problems. Other serious side effects may include increased risk of cancer, including breast cancer, colitis, liver damage, and decreases in antibodies. Ask your doctor about starting or switching to. For those with depression not getting enough relief from their antidepressant, adding Caplita can help you stay on life, providing greater relief from depression symptoms than an antidepressant alone. And unlike some medications, Caplita is also proven to deliver significant symptom relief from both bipolar 1 and 2 depression.
Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Caplita is not approved for dementia-related psychosis. Call your doctor about new or sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts right away. Antidepressants may increase these risks. Report fever, confusion, stiff muscles, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High cholesterol and weight gain may occur, as can high blood sugar, which may be fatal. Common side effects are sleepiness, dizziness, nausea, dry mouth, feeling tired, and diarrhea. These aren't all the side effects.
Ask your doctor about Caplita.
Caplita.
In 2002, a letter arrived at the St. Louis Post-Dispatch newspaper from a man claiming to be a serial killer. The letter included a map with an X marking the spot where he left one of his victims. But the map told forensic scientists a lot more than just the location of a body. It was their key to finding the killer.
X marks the spot.
Just across the river from St. Louis, Missouri, is a town called East St. Louis in Illinois, where prostitutes sell their wares, often to finance their drug addictions. 34-year-old Elisa Greenway was one of those caught in a hopeless cycle.
It's rough when you see somebody that you care about and you feel helpless.
In April of 2001, Elisa Greenway's body was discovered in Washington Park, Illinois, where she had been strangled, and there were ligature marks on her wrists and ankles. A tire impression was found near her body, which was photographed for analysis. It was identified as a Bridgestone Potenza tire. Just days later, police find 3 more bodies, all known prostitutes.
The victims were just displayed. They were laid out right in the open, right off the side of roadways.
But on one of the victims, police found some evidence.
There was no drag marks on the body, but there was a large tire impression on Mary Jane's leg.
This tire impression was from a Goodrich Advantage tire, different than the tire impression found at the earlier crime scene. Over the next 5 months, 3 more bodies were found dumped along the streets of East St. Louis. Rig test kits from 2 of the victims yielded biological samples which were sent for testing. The St. Louis Police Department was convinced that the same individual committed all the murders since the crimes were committed in the same manner.
The victims were positioned. There was obvious disregard for any type of secrecy, any type of cover-up, anything like that. It was an obvious that these were secondary locations.
6 months after the first murder, the crime stopped.
Time went on and no more bodies appeared. We figured either 3 things. The subject was in custody, died, or moved out of the area.
St. Louis police called the FBI for further assistance. Special Agent Melanie Jimenez was assigned to the case.
Trying to compile the information so that I could get a package together to send to our behavioral sciences unit at Quantico. I wanted the profilers there to take a look at it and try to give us a profile of who they thought this person was.
Bob Morton was the behavioral profiler working on this case. He knew immediately that these murders would be difficult to solve.
There's no connection other than a business, if you will, transaction between the customer and the prostitute. And that anonymity gives them that blanket. Just go in, come out. Most crime is between the races. So if I'm a black victim, I'm also going to have a black offender.
For 3 months, the killer wasn't heard from. But inexplicably, the murders started again. Over the next 5 months, 3 more bodies were found dumped along the streets of East St. Louis. Verona Thompson, Yvonne Cruz, and Brenda Beasley. The death toll was now at 10. Bill Smith covered this story for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch newspaper. One of his stories profiled Teresa Wilson, one of the victims of the serial killer.
What I think I ended up doing was humanizing this woman who, in a way, had kind of dehumanized her own life by getting involved in prostitution and drug activities.
And it wasn't long before Smith got a piece of fan mail. It was a letter from the killer.
sometime.
I needed more from my antidepressant, so my doctor added Caplyta, proven to provide greater relief from depression symptoms than an antidepressant alone, building on my progress without starting over. Weight gain and reported sexual side effects were not common.
Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Caplyta is not approved for dementia-related psychosis. Tell your doctor about new or sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts right away. Antidepressants may increase these risks. Report fever, confusion, stiff muscles, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High cholesterol and weight gain may occur, as can high blood sugar, which may be fatal. Common side effects are sleepiness, dizziness, nausea, dry mouth, feeling tired, and diarrhea. These aren't all the side effects.
Ask your doctor about Caplyta.
Those aren't all of the side effects. There's more side effects, fam. Know about them.
I needed more from my antidepressant, so my doctor added Caplyta, proven to provide greater relief from depression symptoms than an antidepressant alone, building on my progress without starting over. Weight gain and reported sexual side effects were not common.
Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Caplyta is not approved for dementia-related psychosis. Call your doctor about new or sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts right away. Antidepressants may increase these risks. Report fever, confusion, stiff muscles, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movement, which may be permanent. High cholesterol and weight gain may occur, as can high blood sugar, which may be fatal. Common side effects are sleepiness, dizziness, nausea, dry mouth, feeling tired, and diarrhea. These aren't all the side effects.
Ask your doctor about Caplyta.
Days after Bill Smith's article on slain prostitute Teresa Wilson appeared in the newspaper, he received an anonymous letter.
They had a very unusual return address. I noticed also that the postage stamp in the upper right-hand corner was upside down. I started to read it, and I thought it was a joke. I thought it was somebody basically just yanking my chain.
Dear Bill, nice sob story about Teresa Wilson. Read one about Greenway. Read a good one, and I'll tell you where many others are. To prove I'm real, here's directions to number 17. Search in a 50-yard radius from the X. Put the story in the Sunday paper like the last.
I think he got aggravated, and I think he wanted to somehow show us that these, in fact, were not human beings that we were dealing with, and that he had some kind of a right to do what he was doing.
The letter referenced 17 murders, although police only knew of 10. The return address included the words, I Thraldom, a bondage website. Along with the letter was a map of a remote area along Highway 67, which was marked with an X.
I almost didn't believe it. It almost didn't seem real. I mean, I've been a newspaper reporter for probably almost 25 years, and I never had anything quite like that happen before. And I kind of forgot how to be a newspaper reporter, and for a few minutes, didn't really know how to ask questions.
Smith turned the letter over to the authorities.
There's a lot of taunting in the letter, but he's very proud of himself. He feels that he's smarter than everybody else because he can send this letter and he can get credit for what he did. That was the first thing that came in my mind, is that, he's looking for attention.
When police searched the area described in the map, they discovered the remains of another victim. Now there was no doubt the letter came from the killer. But who wrote the letter and where did it come from? The return address said New York, but the postmark revealed the letter was mailed in St. Louis. Both the letter and the map were printed from a computer. The map had been cropped to remove any copyright notices from the map company.
It had to take a lot of time. He does not want to expose himself by going to a public library, a Kinko's, or wherever else he can get access to a computer. This is something you're going to do at home that you can print out. Not only that, he printed it on the same kind of paper that the letter was on. We identified that the map was probably made by
an internet or CD-ROM based mapping system. They're very similar in appearance. It wasn't like he photographed or photocopied a fold-out map, if you will.
This man is an intelligence agent with the Illinois State Police. Due to the sensitive nature of his job, we cannot reveal his identity. It was his job to perform the tedious process of finding the owner or copyright holder of that map.
You had one job.
He compared the map to every CD-ROM and internet site that provides maps and directions. After hours of searching, he found the map used by the killer. It was on an internet service called Expedia.com.
They're more of a travel agency than they are a map service, if you will. And they keep where you travel in order to offer you goods and services that rental cars or amusement park discounts and things like that.
Expedia said that Microsoft provided the maps for use on their site. The map was proprietary, meaning that Expedia was the only site which offered that map and no one else. The FBI wanted to know the identity of everyone who had accessed the St. Louis map between the day the newspaper article appeared, May 19th, and the postmark of the letter, which was May 21st.
It gave us a 4 to 5 day window of opportunity to see when that map had been accessed over the internet.
When served with a subpoena, Microsoft analyzed their computer download records and discovered that only one computer had downloaded that map during that 4-day period. And the size of the downloaded map was identical to the map sent to the newspaper. But investigators needed to know the location of the computer. Microsoft couldn't identify the individual by name, only by what is called an IP number.
When you log into a web server, you're assigned what's called an IP number, Internet Protocol number. That number follows you wherever you go.
So investigators performed what they call an IP reversal process, the same technique used to find child pornographers. The IP address, which is 4 sets of numbers separated by periods, identifies a particular computer's location on the internet. Computers linked to a network through a fixed connection typically have a permanent IP address, while computers that access the internet with a dial-up service are assigned an IP address for each session. To find the location of this particular IP user, the FBI turned to WorldCom, which provides the dial-up connection from computer to server. WorldCom's investigation revealed that the map was downloaded at 7:36 p.m. Central Time on May 20th from the Expedia site through the MSN online service.
We then took that information and subpoenaed MSN, who told us, of course, go to Microsoft. That's their parent, very similar to Expedia. Microsoft then says, but here's the person. Here's how they pay their bill. Here's their address. Here's where they dial up from.
The map was downloaded by someone using the screen name Maury Travis.
When I first received the username, it did appear to be an individual's actual name. However, I knew that that didn't necessarily mean it was his true identity.
The home was in Ferguson, a quiet middle-class suburb just outside of St. Louis. It was owned by a 55-year-old woman who had no prior criminal record. Investigators suspected the homeowner wasn't a killer, but who had access to her computer?
These hands care for the herd. These hands create.
These hands are working hands.
My job requires me to be out in the elements. Clay really dries out your hands.
My hands are the most important tools I have.
When my hands are dry and cracking, it's very difficult to do my job. That's why I use O'Keefe's.
It's America's #1 selling hand cream for guaranteed relief.
I've been using O'Keefe's for about 15 years.
And if it works for these hands,
It'll work for yours.
O'Keefe's is hard-working skincare.
these hands care for the herd. These hands create.
These hands are working hands.
My job requires me to be out in the elements. Clay really dries out your hands.
My hands are the most important tools I have.
When my hands are dry and cracking, it's very difficult to do my job. That's why I use O'Keefe's.
It's America's #1 selling hand cream for guaranteed relief.
I've been using O'Keefe's for about 15 years.
And if it works for these hands,
I want to get some O'Keefe's. Donate so I can get some O'Keefe's. Mine has been dark for quite some time. And I am for the right inside of me.
I needed more from my antidepressant, so my doctor added Caplyta.
Caplyta.
Greater relief from depression symptoms than an antidepressant alone. Building on my progress without starting over. Weight gain and reported sexual side effects were not common.
Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Caplyta is not approved for dementia-related psychosis. Call your doctor about new or sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts right away. Antidepressants may increase risks.
Alright, I drank one beer. I don't know if I can drink this other beer. I might save it for later.
Common side effects are sleepiness, dizziness, nausea, dry mouth, feeling tired, and diarrhea. These aren't all the side effects.
Ask your doctor about Caplyta.
The light inside of me. Oh, get the fuck out. My phone's almost dead.
Discovered that the map sent to the local newspaper revealing the location of a murder victim had been uploaded by a computer in this home. Investigators decided to have a look inside.
I knocked, I said FBI, we have a search warrant. I announced at least 3 times.
Eventually, a man and a woman answered the door.
This man, he was in a pair of boxer shorts. The first thing out of his mouth was, "It's 7 o'clock in the morning." You're right, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. We're serving a federal search warrant. Okay, why are you here? And our response was, "You know why we're here." Dropped his head. He said, "Yeah, I know why you're here."
Inside, police found a computer, women's wigs and shoes, a stun gun, and a collection of homemade videotapes. The basement was spattered with blood. The ceiling, walls, doors, and carpet, even the furniture. Blood everywhere. The man identified himself as 36-year-old Maury Travis, a restaurant worker who had served time for a string of armed robberies. His mother owned the home, but didn't live there. The woman was Travis's longtime girlfriend, who told police she had never been in the basement of the house.
She didn't have any idea what was going on in that house, and he didn't want her to know.
Next to the desk was a file cabinet. We broke into that cabinet and found a knapsack in there. The knapsack was, we referred to it as a working bag. And there was duct tape, ligatures, straps to tie victims up, a hose-type stocking that he used as gloves.
Forensic scientists gathered samples of the blood in the basement for analysis. It was a mixture from 6 different individuals.
No one ever seen any activity or anything around the house, and so it's just pretty scary. You think that your neighborhood is really safe, and you don't know who your next door neighbor is.
Investigators found several drafts of the letter sent to the newspaper on his computer's hard drive. They also found 2 cars at the house. On one of the cars was a Goodrich Advantage tire that matched the tire impression left on Betty James' leg. A tire on the other car was a Bridgestone Potenza, which matched the tire impression near Lisa Greenwade's body. Travis was taken to St. Louis Police Department headquarters.
We did not talk about crimes. And actually, we didn't ask him about it. Our concern was attempting to get him to cooperate with us, to take us to our victims. He claimed in his letter that there were 17 victims. Our concern, of course, was to find the rest of the victims.
You've heard it before, but he is just pure evil. I've never interviewed anybody like that. His entire world circled around him. He was in control. wanted to be the focus of everything. It
I
had
might have to make a
no
pancake.
nothing. And he was.
The pancake smells banging right now.
He is just pure evil.
During questioning, he asked for a soda.
Later on, once another interview room, I had the soda can taken away.
Mary Beth Carr swabbed the area near the opening for epithelial cells in Travis's saliva, which could be used for DNA testing. When Travis's DNA profile was compared to the biological material found on two of the murder victims, Yvonne Cruz and Brenda Beasley, Travis's DNA matched. Eventually, Travis asked police.
We told him, well, there was a computer inquiry made on the internet. And he cussed a couple times and had some nice words to say about the internet.
Fucking internet.
And he was very, very upset. I don't think he realized what he had done once he did that. And it dawned on him. It hit him like a ton of bricks.
During questioning, Travis refused to reveal the locations of any of his other victims. Before police could question him again, there was another murder, which would end the investigation forever. On June 7th, 2002, Maury Troy Travis was charged with kidnapping and murder. The homemade videotapes discovered in Travis's home showed Travis socializing with various women. But one videotape contained horrendous images, the likes of which police had never seen before.
There was even an actual murder. I mean, you witness him actually killing one of these people.
What was going on inside his head, why he did what he did. That's how I look at it, trying to figure out what makes a person do this.
And I thought about her pleading the baby for her life and him strangling her to death like they left her with nothing but a t-shirt on. They bound her hands and stuff. So it's been difficult.
Investigators also found plans in Travis's home to expand his basement dungeon.
He was planning on building a 2-cell holding tank in his basement. He had ordered more handcuffs and leg shackles.
Damn, still nobody talking to me.
He was even getting bids on expanding his basement as a secret dungeon. You guys know how far this would go.
I'm gonna get going.
Based on the computer's forensic evidence, investigators believe that Travis enjoyed reading the articles about his crimes in the newspaper.
Police will say that these men live vicariously through the media sometimes after their crimes are committed. So they can take the newspaper article, or they can take the TV show, or whatever it might be, and they can live their crime and get a kind of a high from that also.
And on the night of May 20th, Travis typed his letter to journalist Bill Smith.
Dear Bill.
At 7:36 p.m., he visited the Expedia.com site looking for a map he could use to show authorities where they could find one of his victims. After downloading the map, he carefully cropped the copyright notices from around the map, thinking this would eliminate the possibility of tracing it. But he was wrong. The map was as good as a fingerprint, in this case, a computer fingerprint.
There's a lot of crime that's solved that way, and a lot of it is online crime. Online investigators use this methodology all the time.
Maury Travis was taken to prison to await trial. He was placed under a 24-hour suicide watch where guards check on him every 15 minutes.
He didn't want to go back to the penitentiary. He made that very clear to us. I'm not going back to the penitentiary, and you're not going to give me the needle.
For whatever reason, guards skipped 2 back-to-back checks. It was all the time Travis needed to hang himself in his cell. without ever admitting guilt or leading police to the bodies of his other victims.
But this is where he was found dead. His hands were bound behind him. He had a washcloth in his mouth and a pillowcase over his head.
They had let him literally slip right through the fingers. To say that I was angry, to say that people in the newsroom were angry about it and the community was angry about it, is really an understatement. I think people were furious. And the families of those women should have.
No, you're going to go get it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not this way, I'll go get it. I'll be right out.
Mr. Travis hung himself. He took all the answers with him.
All right, y'all, I gotta go get the mail from my mom.
I think it's amazing that it's such an incredible tool that through analyzing the computer, we were able to catch someone that was committing crimes like this.
Had anybody said, hey, the guy's gonna send you a map. And for the investigators to be able to backtrack to him, never thought that in my wildest dreams. It's almost like him saying, okay, here's a map.
All right, y'all. Love you guys.
I'm gonna tell you right now, this is from her father. Your bunch of lying no good punks, and I know who it's coming from, because I've traced it, and you've been reported to cyber police, because I've traced it. Consequences will never be the same, because I've traced it, and you've been reported to cyber police, because I've traced it. You'll be arrested. End of conversation. Well, guess what? My daughter's not lying, and I'm not gonna put up with any of you people's crap. If you ain't got something nice to say about my daughter, then keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. And any more of your comments and put it on there will be caught and will be bound. You will have to deal with the police, cause you done goofed. Cause you done goofed. Because I've traced it, and you've been reported to the cyber police, because I've